The following podcast contains scenes of graphic violence, abuse, and a minimum requirement of forgiveness. Listener discretion is advised. Protect thy two brain cells.
You know your life is just a dream, don't you?
Hello, welcome to the second episode of In the Memory of the Goldfish, a podcast hosted by me, Koi, a demi celestial. If you haven't heard the first episode yet, and if you haven't, this is an improvement from the previous one. Most probably that's because today it's a different soul which is possessing my body and is gonna be delivering the podcast. As usual, the podcast has three segments: the fishy news, the story itself, where I rewrite reality. In this case, the reality is that of the Turpin's case from 2018, and and finally me giving you details about the real life facts what inspired the story. That's it. Now I guess it's fishy news time. Does that stick? Does that sound even remotely nice? Whatever. Yeah, so it's time for fishy news. The start of the new year was not as good and overhyped for a certain individual in the Queens neighborhood called Micheline Frederick, when an angry squirrel aggressively attacked her and assaulted her. She says, and I quote, "Eventually, it stopped, and there I was, a big bloody mess." That's what she said. She even added to this that this was an MMA cage match and I lost. Yes, exactly. That's why I keep on telling people that size really does not matter. It is how long you can fight and what is the punch that you pack. For the second one, the headline reads: Woman allegedly posed as prosecutor dropped charges against herself. A forensic examiner later noticed the charges were dropped. Um, she basically, as it says, that she falsified her records related to drugs and stalking charges. Her name's Lisa Landon of Littleton. This is so fun. Like, you need to give her props on her creativity. Like, in 4 years, she'll be running for president, and for all that we know, she'll win. I mean, congratulations to you, lady. Uh, and the final one for today is that a portable toilets company stages holiday light show with singing Johns, service sanitation's jingle Johns to flush away the December blues. Service Sanitary of Gary Industries uses like portable toilets and like animated face on it to sing Christmas carols, and like trust me, if I was ever to recommend them a playlist, it would be like Holy Night, The Silent Fart, perhaps Flushing Around the Christmas Tree. But this is outstanding. Like, wouldn't you love to have this on your job site to help you spread the Christmas cheer? Like, fun. You should send them a mail if you can. Would they accept mails? I don't know. Send them something. Let them know that you need portable toilet seats talking to you and singing your Christmas carols, because that is so fun. Moving on to the story of the pot for the said episode. The story is titled Saviour, and the date that I've given to this is 23rd August 1960. 7:30 a.m. I start by writing. The window has a 3-inch gap. The stale wind is blowing in. The curtains are waving as if they're saying hello to the walls and the walls to me. It feels as if the whole room is lit a color ochre. The little white insects which crawl seem to nod at me, saying hello. If so many things say hello to me all the freaking time, I'd rather be deaf. I cannot respond to so many hellos. Like, hello. What? What? Why? Why so many hellos, honey? I love the dress I'm wearing today. Mother gave it to me when I turned 11. She asked me not to remove it till I was 13. Today, on my birthday, she will give me a new dress she has been making for the last 2 years, she says. This girl sounds like a princess, to be honest. Like everybody like giving her early morning salutations, her mother making her a dress, which takes 2 years to make. I hear the metal clanking as my brother wakes up. I was the first to wake up today, you know. This is fun. Like, ideally, if I'm the first one to wake up, I'm the crankiest. Not me cranky as such. Like, if I wake up early, I make everybody else cranky because I start making noises that everybody wakes up, because it's sad being awake early in the morning when there are other human beings and animals around me. But yeah, but I continue writing, and she continues writing in her diary, perhaps. It means it will be my duty to patch up the walls. Father says, as we were created in God's image, everything that comes out of our body and goes inside it, all that we should cover it is divine. All which should cover it is divine and must not be wasted. So he made a rule. Every morning, the one who wakes up the earliest will collect all which comes out of the body of the family, collect it, and make the walls of the house stronger with it. Oh, God. Things which come out in the morning, stronger with it. I had to make sure that my brother got the spot on the floor clean. It was everyone's duty to mount everything. Interesting. Mount everything in one corner before the clock said 9. And the responsibility was to carry the clay and make the walls stronger. I need to meet this kid. Like, if they can make clay and sculptures out of everything, they can be an amazing artist, you know. The connection in my leg was making a lot of noise as I was moving. My mother told me that soon the wine of Christ will start flowing from my insides. The day it happens, she said, I need to tell her, and she will conserve it, and we will drink the wine. Okay. Being honest, when my sister gave out the wine of Christ, I did not like it. I feel nobody but my mother and father did. We all did develop a taste for it, but I would prefer if Christ gave my mother the wine directly instead of me. My sister told me that it used to make her uncomfortable. However, my mother... Okay, the wine of Christ which comes from inside of her, which drips down her legs. Fuck, okay. I remember. Why did I even write this? Yes, okay. My sister told me... Ooh. Okay. Wine of Christ. My sister told me that it used to make her uncomfortable. I'm getting shivers down my spine. My sister told me that it used to make her uncomfortable. However, my mother told us that all that makes us uncomfortable is what Jesus and Mary felt. The uncomfort is our bodies stepping towards heaven. I have been feeling such an uncomfort for 7 days now. I felt the divinity enter me from under my... Are you sure that was divinity? I felt the divinity enter me from under my skirt one day. I looked myself in the water which was in the tub. I thought it was an insect which found its home within me. Maybe it thought of me as its neighbor and required me to give him lodgment. Oh, Lord of 7 seas. Okay, yeah, an insect crawled inside of her, and that's a neighbor. Like, if I wrote this as a metaphor of a neighbor crawling inside of her and housing something in it, this takes a completely different direction. Anyway, so maybe it thought of me as a neighbor. I continue writing. And required me to give him lodgment. As I kept the clay on the side, on a plate to pick it up later, my brother walked into the room where the dried vine of with the dried wine of Christ on his skin. My mother told us that he tried to get out of the sanctuary. The devil inside him was making him not accept the uncomfort of divinity. Hail, devil. Father took care of it. He took brother to his room, gave him the uncomfort that the God wanted him to have. When my father came out of the room with brother, brother was cleansed of the devil as the wine of Christ was flowing out of him from a lot of places in his body. We didn't drink it. Mother told us that the wine was contaminated with evil and perhaps hepatitis or anything else that you are making the kids go through. So her mother told her that the wine is contaminated with evil, and that is why it flew out of his body when the divine uncomfort was gifted to him. The brother bears proudly the wine of Christ on his body. It has all dried up. The evil have fled the wine. He walked in and brushed past me. The walls and the neighbor in unison said, "Hello, Cendric." Okay, so the brother responds, "Father has asked you not to call brother by their name in the sanctuary, Cecilia," he said as he glared at me. I lifted up my dress. Okay, she lifted her dress to her teenage brother. This does not remind me of anything which is very memeable. She lifted her dress to show him the insect housing in her. She says, "Brother, it wasn't me. Look, it is my neighbor." Who said that? I point at the blue bump under my abdomen. I continue writing. "Cendric, what do you want?" The blue bump said. "Comfort," brother said immediately, as if he knew this question would be asked. I swiftly looked behind to see if mother or father were here. But there. If they heard this, I do not know what would have happened. Almost mechanically, as if the force that kept my arm in my control had disappeared. My hand reached out to touch brother's chest. As I touched it, the wine of Christ started to pour out from his skin. Alright. He smiled, as if this time the wine was comforting. He fell to the ground. "To Claudia now," the walls said to me. Oh my goodness, I really do not feel like, okay, I'm getting goosebumps. Why did I write this? And okay, the walls said to me. Okay, so "To Claudia now," the walls said to me. My legs decided to move towards Sister Claudia's room. The walls asked the question they asked my brother. My sister started to whimper. My body, as if not mine anymore, moved near her bed. My fingers touched her thighs. This is needlessly erotic, and yeah. My fingers touched her thighs, started to move across her skin and hair. Nearing her chest, my fingers lifted up. They made a cross on her neck. The cross started to produce the wine of Christ. She made gurgling noises, as if she was drinking the wine which came out of her. That is comforting for a 13-year-old child to witness, no? Like, totally chill. Jesus. I turned back to see mother and father standing there. My mother had my new dress in her hands. I darted towards them. My mouth opened to make a sound which seemed to have originated from my stomach. Don't get a choice, the voice said. As I stood on my toes, both my hands lifted up. My palms touched the frozen faces of mother and father. Christ, Christ's wine started to pour out of their eyes, their nose, they both collapsed. Okay, I'm conflicted. Like, I kind of feel this is sort of a good thing, but okay. Yeah. The little brother started to cry. I went to peck him. My legs took me to the porch. The little brother in my hand, I walked towards a woman who was wearing strange clothing. My eyes closed. I felt my body with little brother collapse in there. I remember the last part about the woman wearing strange clothing because I felt like I should describe it more at the set time. So I was looking up like fitness outfits for women, like who walks 7:30 in the morning unless and until you're like a power walker or something. So I saw those pictures, and the only thing that came to my mind was strange clothing. Yeah, that's strange. I felt my body with little brother collapse there in front of her. All right, yeah. So this is the end of my rewriting of the reality. And now for the reality time of it. So it will be very comforting for you to know that this all happened in the January of 2018 in Paris, California, where the parents, David and Louise Turpin, abused 12 of their 13 children. The bit of them tying children up was actually existed. The whole thing happened because one of their daughters, Jordan Turpin, was uh like snuck out of their house. She was 17 and called 911 using her mother's phone, which was like deactivated. And she said, quote in her words, "My parents are abusive. My two little sisters right now are chained up. they they're chained up to their bed." Sorry. And you can also listen to this online. It's very easy to find it. You just Google Turpin's case 2018. There's a lot of YouTube videos on this. You can even specifically Google the 911 call, and the girl's voice sounds like she's 12. And she even said in her like confession that the last time that she took a bath was an year back. Later, when she was interrogated, she said that her siblings would be chained up for over 1 or 2 months, freed only to brush their teeth or use the bathroom. She said that she and her siblings never ate breakfast. They would only eat peanut butter, bologna, a frozen burrito, or chips for lunch and dinner. The eldest victim was a 29-year-old woman who weighed only 82 pounds. And even when officers took the children out, a few of them had never been out. They did not know how it felt, like how to understand the things outside. Some kids testified that they've never been to a dentist in their life. So the mother and father were sentenced to 25 years to life on accounts of torture and false imprisonment. During the court, when the court was in session, one the some of the children actually sent statements saying, I want the court to know our parents loved each other and loved each of their children. I remember our mother sitting in her recliner saying she don't know what to do. She didn't want to use rope or chain but was afraid of her children taking in too much sugar and caffeine. This, according to them, was love. There was another sister who wrote a statement and her brother read it in court. And it said, I love both of my parents so much. Although it may not have been the best way of raising us, I'm glad that they did because it made me the person I am today. And I just want to thank them for teaching me about God and faith. I hope they never lose their faith. I can be wrong, but there's this thing called the Stockholm Syndrome, wherein what you see for a lot of time, even if it's bad, it becomes good for you, and you feel that it's right because you've never seen anything else. So, yeah, this was the real life events from which this was inspired. It happened in 2018, people. If that's any comfort for you, that's not supposed to make you feel better about anything at all. Other than my podcast, which is pretty darn amazing, and you need to accept that. Yeah. If you actually start complimenting me, where will I be? Anyway, now coming to the end credits. The podcast is hosted by me, Koi, co-produced with Nephics. The music is so good, and it's a 16-year-old who has made the music come to life. The credits for music goes to Lil Addy, and you can find me on Instagram, Twitter. Twitter is not functioning right now, as Koi on Air. You can even find me on YouTube as Koi on Air, where I'm going to be uploading artwork for each episode, which might be fun for you to see. My email address is koi@madebynephics.com. If you enjoyed the podcast, then please leave a review or rate it. I do not know how that works, so please just do that. Whatever helps me grow. Thank you so much. See you later, alligator.